Hey, what are you doing with Rennie's iconic copy of Hannah Montana for the Nintendo DS handheld line of systems?
Oh, this little thing? I'm just cooking up a viral post on X, the everything app, that'll turn Hannah Montana for the Nintendo DS into the next hottest meme. Then I'll just hop over to my eBay over here and sell this baby for thousands. It's the best of both worlds.
Okay, well, I was gonna beat your ass for blatantly stealing our mutual friend's stuff, but that's actually pretty smart, so you go ahead and do that.
The great meme reset is upon us, and we need to start the new meme revolution before it's too late. For profit. Plus, it comes with a poster.
I wouldn't trust any grown adult with that poster.
Well, hopefully it'll sell for enough to put the dog through college.
I don't even know why I'm here. This has nothing to do with me.
Absolutely awful real-life events keep happening on the daily. Thousands of my precious brain cells themselves every single time my country's president opens his gaping, rotting maw. But at least I can take comfort in knowing that Cory in the house for the DS will always cost a paltry $5. Nice and cheap. We love to see it. Oh boy, looks like it's Rennie complains about the state of the retro video game market time again! So yeah, Cory in the cozy abode. As a kid, I never watched That's So Raven, mainly because I thought my parents would get upset at me for daring to watch a show starring a person who happens to be of the opposite of my birth sex. But I did catch some of its bizarre spin-off, Cory in the Snorri. Literally, the only thing I remember about this show is that weird cheese in a cup restaurant where they just dump cheese in a cup and serve it like fucking maniacs. This place in my mind might as well be what the entire show was about. In fact, it probably would have been way more entertaining, but okay, the show itself really doesn't matter at all. And the tie-in DS game itself really doesn't matter either. Not the game itself, anyway. The pixels and graphics and gameplay you enjoy when you insert this game card into your DS. No. What matters is the show's appeal to quirky internet freaks around 2016 or so. 2016 was the height of ironic appreciation for this show and jokingly declaring it to be the Earth's finest anime. If you're watching this video right now and you're too young to thoroughly remember memes from a decade ago, just know that anybody who tells you that the memes were better back then is a fucking liar. But let's jump ahead to today, about a decade later, long after everyone should have stopped giving a single shit about Cory memes. But for some reason, all this time later, some folks decided to positively review bomb Cory in the House DS on Metacritic. 10 whole years later, and suddenly, Cory DS managed to skyrocket all the way up to the second highest rated game of all time on the site, right behind Claire Obscure Hunting Expeditions. This fact is objectively funny, of course. Cory in the House is the favorite anime of every self-respecting otaku. I know you're gonna laugh. Eventually. Why aren't you laughing? After all the troll reviews rolled in and everyone involved received their well-deserved Reddit platinum, there was another peculiar side effect of this positive review bombing, where some saw, admittedly, harmless giggles and laughs, others saw big dollar signs. And by others, I mean just about every single seller on the entirety of eBay. Shortly after some account pointed out the epically dank meme moment on Twitter, Cory DS prices skyrocketed almost immediately over on eBay. But here's where the meme connects with these ridiculous prices. Cory DS always seemed to be the main target for comically overpriced shovelware jokes. It was usually either that or fucking Shaq Fu, I guess. But here's the thing, they were always just jokes. Innocent little goofs and gaffs. None of these people making these ridiculous prices were genuinely attempting to extort the dumbest game collectors to ever breathe air on this planet. And I'll be totally fair, I honestly do find the clearly absurd joke prices in physical stores to be a really fun gag. I'm gonna sound like a complete hypocrite if I don't bring up my reaction to a crazy overpriced Cory in my last retro game market video. troll prices like this? This is wonderful. This is awesome. But that was such an obviously insane price, and honestly, running a brick and mortar game store is hard and very expensive. The overhead is insane, so I wouldn't be totally against that scenario happening once, I guess, to help them out. Not like it's ever going to, though, because folks who'd spend $10,000 on Cory in the House DS don't usually go outside. But since 2016 in this Cory space, whatever, things are different in a downright depressing way. As life gets so ungodly expensive, folks are more desperate than ever to find any possible way to make an extra buck. And that desperation has led to people using memes to scam people. I honestly don't find it nearly as funny when you're taking any dumb joke on the internet as a chance to scam people out of their hundreds of dollars in exchange for actual dumpster trash shovelware. Now, you might take a peek at these Cory prices and think, Rennie, there's no way anyone actually paid over $300 for Cory in the House DS. They might be listing it at $300, but obviously no one would actually pay up. Well, I have bad news for you if you're not super familiar with how eBay works. That is an already sold listing. A real human being really wasted a week's salary on a shit-ass game that'll be $10 again a few months from now, tops. Another argument I'm expecting to see is, but Rennie, what if these are just troll bids? And what if buyers are canceling their buy it now purchases immediately after buying? Well, those are actually some solid points. It's totally possible that these bidding wars could all just be troll bids. It is possible to simply not pay up after winning an eBay auction. Absurdly high troll bids happen all the time. The only problem with this theory is those pesky little buy it now listings. See this hilarious sold buy it now listing featuring such gut-busting classic numbers as 420 and 69? Well, eBay buyers can submit cancel requests for purchases, but only sellers can decide whether or not to actually cancel it. So we'd have to 100% trust that these quirky quirksters who totally aren't scam artists are doing the right thing by actually canceling these so buyers aren't scammed out of their hard-earned cash. And some of the sales are considerably lower than others, like 50 bucks. So while that is still a markup of 5 times or more, I don't quite see how that's extreme enough to be a fake purchase. And it doesn't end there. You have folks selling ridiculous homemade items related to the game, like fake receipts and promotional posters. Oh my fucking god, $600! This might be the dumbest result of nepotism I could have ever imagined. But Rennie, this game is le epic wholesome chungus anime, so please, I can't handle this nonsense anymore. I would have been completely fine with leaving this whole Cory thing back in 2016. I get it, you might be like me, getting a little older, times are tough, but resurfacing these old memes you're nostalgic for, no matter how nostalgic you might be for them, I promise you, they aren't going to make anything better. And sure, within reason, people can spend their money however they damn well please. In fact, I really don't mind folks wasting their cash on fake receipts and shit. At least they're going into that objectively knowing they're completely wasting their money in exchange for something stupid. But I really don't like seeing eBay sellers taking advantage of any little thing they can to generate manufactured profits, even if the buyers are there and willing to waste their money. It just doesn't sit right with me. Just because the buyers are willing to waste the money over a meme, I don't think that makes it okay. It almost feels like a smaller scale meme coin crypto pump and dump, except in this case, literally nobody but the sellers wins out in the end. And there's certainly no legitimate supply and demand situation here. This is simply the result of eBay sellers getting greedier and greedier and buyers getting more and more willing to throw money away, despite how bad the economy is. Zero patience or self-restraint in sight. It's totally both parties' fault, but I personally put more blame on the sellers who are profiting via literally nothing. Just adding anime to your listing name for meme sales has got to be the 9th layer dumbest way to scam people out of their money. I'm just baffled that it's actually working and that things have fallen so far in just a couple years. Now, eBay is its own natural disaster, so I decided it would be a good idea to take a look at one of eBay's competitors, Mercari. And yeah, looks like all these lovely Mercari sellers have all taken up the same scam. I mean meme. But unlike eBay, not a single soul is paid up for any of these troll listings. Good on you, Mercari buyers. You're officially, tangibly more intelligent than the average eBay user. Update. I just double-checked Mercari while writing this video, and somebody paid over $100 for a copy of Cory DS on Mercari. Completely ignore all of my compliments towards Mercari buyers. I guess everybody is a frivolous moron.
2 months and it still hasn't sold. I'm sorry, buddy. You're not going to college.
Retro games exploded in value after COVID in 2020, and some of that effect has stuck in the market, and I've largely learned to live with that at this point. Retro gaming is more popular now. A lot of people are really interested in playing games they didn't grow up with. Some old games simply have more eyes on them than they have copies to go around at this point. Hell, even YouTubers and viral posts accidentally making games more expensive is nothing new. As far back as AVGN reviews, they've brought some attention to games that were previously completely ignored before, which means more people wanting to own them. And there's less copies to go around, especially with how few copies were printed of some of these games. Unfortunately, that just results in a much higher base price. One of the most ridiculous examples was Piglet's Big Game. The reason a game about a scrawny pig creature shot up from a humble $10 game nobody cared about at all to a nearly $100 game, Jesus Christ, man, is all thanks to a silly little viral post that pointed out how the game's spooky level resembles a family-friendly Silent Hill or Resident Evil game a bit. And while that on its own is pretty amusing, I really don't think we're looking at $80 plus in amusement value. Or hell, Rebel Taxi's review of Go-Go Hypergrind for GameCube helped change that goofy little price all the way from an expensive but humble $270 all the way up to an eye-watering $570. That's half a month's rent in some places. Look, I may be homeless, but at least I can stare at Penny in the manual. She's sexy and her name reminds me of when I used to have money. This is such a well-known phenomenon at this point, to the point that when I posted a surprisingly experimental song I liked from an obscure Toys R Us exclusive mouse game for kids on Xbox and somehow got like 2,000 likes or whatever, somebody in the replies was like, whoa, look out, Rennie, fucking sneakers for the original Xbox is gonna be $500 on eBay by tomorrow because of this post. That didn't happen, of course. Thankfully, we're still looking at Walmart clearance aisle sneakers and not some Air Jordans, but it's crazy how an innocent little post can turn games into temporary gold mines for internet fraudsters who put predatory keywords in their listing titles to make a quick buck off of stupid people. What I'm really sick of is unnatural markups on game prices. I can totally see a game with more eyes on it going up in price incrementally, but I know I'm looking at undeniable seller greed when a game's price triples in just a few months. Just because some people are willing to pay an insanely, ridiculously bonkers high price doesn't mean that it should be going for that insanely ridiculously bonkers high asking price. That's all I'm saying. A lot of these games have a bunch of copies that just sit around on eBay for ages, and some of these games aren't quite as hard to come by as you might think. Just look at a couple game stores in totally different locations and you might see the game multiple times despite how expensive and rare it is. It's well known that sellers tend to hoard these games they can make so much money off of, and they could actually be in the position to sell more copies if they chilled out with the prices equivalent to a king's ransom. But all I can do is complain because I don't really expect anything to change until one day we escape the hell that is late stage capitalism. Psst, you can save a shit ton of money by emulating or hacking your consoles. Please do that instead of spending all this money for the love of God. Anyway, could somebody please send $450 to my Ko-Fi so I could buy the incredibly rare Jemmer Lammy Katie Cat plushie, please? I love you. I draw the kiwi.